Howdy folks, Zethios here, and welcome back to Tyranny. Unless we left off, we were still exploring the crap out of Zethios Crossing. We still have the oldwalls entrance to get into, that's apparently like off limits. But we need to see what Siren Sanctuary is all about, and we need to talk to the leader of the town. So let's do that first. Maybe get permission to access that. What's he got in his bed? He's got camping supplies. Well, we'll take the potions.
Will do.
Well met, Fate Finder, and welcome to Zethios Crossing. You look like shit. You're the leader of this town? Alright, the sunburnt man dips his head in greeting. An outsider never arrives alone. At least that is what my mother always said. Seems she knew what she was talking about. He nods thoughtfully at his own words. I'm Eldian. Welcome to Zethios Crossing. What a weird fucking thing to say. Pardon my language. To start this off, you must be the one everyone is talking about. Tunon's Fate Finder, right? Eldian looks you over. We could have used your help when Kairos' forces tried to take Zethios Crossing. Though I suppose you would have been fighting on their side, wouldn't you? But the Brotherhood overcame, and now we're saddled with their continued leadership. He shrugs. I suppose there are worse fates. Hearing stories about your exploits in Vendrian's Well, I expected you to be 12 feet tall and shoot fire from your mouth. Can't always tell the contents of a pie from its crust, can you? You like using sayings, don't you, old man? But enough of my prattling. Now he's going to sound like a crazy prospector. You didn't come here for a history lesson or to get my opinion of your grandeur. He raised his hand dismissively at his previous comments. The adjudicator sent you for the Archon of Song, I assume. What can this old fool do for you? Excuse me. What was that about the Archon of Song? Siren, the songbird. Feels like it's half the town she's got mooning over her in that hovel near the river. It's on the first tier if you want to find her. His brow knits. Feel free to take her with you when you go. He cants his head slightly, banishing his sour expression. But seeing as you're not here for her, what can I do for you? Alright, I'm going to ask you some questions about Zethios Crossing. If you have questions about our settlement, I'm the one to ask. I have the dubious distinction of being the oldest living resident of Zethios Crossing, so I've been here for a lot of its history. Eldon smiles. Eyes, hips, hair, and hearing might be failing, but my mind still remembers everything that's happened here. What would you like to know about? I'll do my best not to go too long about it. I know I have a problem keeping my conversation short. Yeah, no shit. Whew. I'm instantly regretting this. Let's talk about the... Pretty sure I'm gonna need directions around here. I think we're good. What about the Bronze Brotherhood? They were here since the crossing was founded. Zethios herself hired them to protect the settlement when it was just getting started, a fledgling town in the shadow of the old walls. They did such a good job, she kept them on as our peacekeepers, and that's how things went. They're a good enough sort, but when the right offered to pay to help Kairos' forces, I knew that we were in for some trouble. Taking pay from two employers is always going to end badly if you can't make both of them happy. On top of it all, it seems lately that Pokemon is following a path only he can see, and I'm not looking forward to what he finds at the end. Alright. How have your interactions with the Scarlet Chorus been? Can't say I have the strongest opinion one way or the other, really. They didn't seem to care much about leaving the settlement behind. They put up what seemed to be a token resistance when the Brotherhood drove them out, but once they left, I haven't really seen much of them. What about the disfavored? Oh, I'm not sure what to say, honestly. I've heard rumors that the disfavored are a tough, disciplined crew, but the Bronze Brotherhood were able to force him out of the crossing without much trouble. I'm sure there must have been extenuating circumstances, but until I see something to change my mind, that's how I feel. Oh, good lord. Alright, what can you tell me about the spire? Well, there's no getting used to it. You think that after years of living under its shadow that your nerves would calm? But that never happened for me. You can only be so relaxed when your neighbors are the bane. The moment you let your guard down around one of those old walls, my friend, you're done. Now, Lathan wasn't completely mad to settle here. She ventured inside and found sealed passageways that made it impossible to wander too far beyond the entrance. She figured that meant that the Bane couldn't easily reach us either. Whoever created this monstrosity wanted us to stay out, and that's exactly what we've done. Now, it hasn't been a perfect arrangement. There've been incidents, he grimaces at the recollection. But, for the most part, the Bane don't venture out so long as you don't venture in. We just have to stay vigilant every day. Alright, so can I enter? Must you enter? Surely there's another. He stops himself, adopting a less confrontational tone. Well, nobody will stop you, Fatebinder, if that's what you mean. If you have business inside, I can only assume it must be an important matter. The old walls are unpredictable, plain and simple. The Bane may leave you be today, but I'm not the sort to gamble when it comes to those abominations. Alright, what about the crossing's history? Well, if you have questions about the goings-on in the crossing, I'm the one to ask. I've been here for more of its history than anyone else, he smiles. What would you like to know? Who was Lathan? The biggest pain in the ass I ever knew? He turns bright red, blushing at his words, and lets out a huge guffaw. Oh, there's a question mark there. It made it weird how I wanted to say it versus how it was written with that question mark. Made me say it differently than I wanted to. Anywho. Well, I suppose I shouldn't talk about my mother like that. She was a mediocre merchant, but a great leader. The war in the northern kingdoms cost her a very lucrative trade route up north, but she managed to earn trade stewardships from Kairos. And for a short time, she had a monopoly on grain, salt, and tin here in the tiers. Now, what did my grandmother say? Give a blind man time and a pile of rocks, and eventually he'll hit the target. He shrugs. Not to say she didn't deserve it, but I think luck played a bigger part in her success than actual talent. Kairos gives, and Kairos takes. Next year, Lathan was stripped of her trade rights. Suddenly she had a large staff, but no goods to trade and no means to pay anybody. But she was the stubborn one, and knew if she kept at it, eventually things would turn around for us. She figured the trade goods would come to us, the location was good enough. It's crazy how that would happen. So she decided to concentrate on making an existing local settlement in the center of commerce for the tiers, and by the claws of a beast, she did just that. I thought she was crazy for choosing a town nestled up to the old walls, but apparently she knew what she was doing. It wasn't long after that we named it Lathan's Crossing. With the bridges over the old walls, this was the only place to go if you wanted to take weeks off your trip. Eventually, she hired the Bronze Brotherhood to act as our local guards. We were big enough, and we had enough commerce to warrant the protection. So, she was your mom? Of course. How did you think I became Reeve of the Crossing? It's certainly not by my storytelling or charm. I may be the oldest living resident here, but that's certainly not good enough reason to make someone a leader. Though come to think of it, neither should be an offspring of the former leader. He laughs. But, like it or not, that's how things are. My mother was a wonderful woman. She might not have been the nicest person, and she might have been overfond of a dalliance here or there, or there, or there. But who is it? His face sobers. May her rest be ever free of disturbance. Alright, why'd you settle here? Necessity. The rope bridges let us cross the old walls. With them, it didn't matter what trade routes we had, we'd be at a crossroads to the northern tiers, an unbeatable location. Alright, I'm starting to lose it. I don't know how much longer I can talk like you, old man. This is a bad idea. Whew, okay. The siege of Arden and the bastard city ended up helping us. All those folks heading to the points east crossed through our little settlements, and many of them decided to stake a claim with us. By then, Lathan discovered there was iron in our rivers. She thought it'd make us rich, but it also made us a target. The old walls don't make passage through the area easy, and our bridges cut days and weeks off of a trip. Lathan's Crossing's the best bet to get your shipment where it needs to go. Fix some other load of iron ore into it, and we suddenly had a target painted on us. How'd you build them? How'd you build the bridges? Lathan was the mastermind of that. She could tie a knot with one hand, one string. I remember watching her draw systems of ropes and knots in the sand, telling me what they would do when built. I thought she was crazy. Said she got the idea for the bridges from seeing galleys pulled out of the water into dock. Apparently, the hardest part was getting the initial climbing team to brave the old walls and set the first ties. But apparently you could pay a man enough rings for him to overcome his fear for old walls predators. Alright, what's Kairos' interest in the crossing? Iron, plain and simple. Now we have the forge bound here, toiling away with the ore that they pull from the river. We're being squeezed for our resources. But if you're after a drink, better to squeeze fruit than a stone. And it would seem many people find us to be very juicy indeed. Now there was a merchant who tried to peddle iron rocks as magical, because they came from areas near the old walls. One of the people he sold to happened to be a disfavored courier. The courier then showed the rock to a forge-bound master, who immediately recognized his potential for making superior weapons. It was brought to Kairos' attention, and soon afterward, soldiers and forge-bound came to Lathan's Crossing. They came with such force, our options were to either comply with what they wanted, or die. Okay, whew. We're almost there. Why does the Brotherhood want Lathan's Crossing? Land? Breeding stock? They've been here longer than I have, so maybe they consider it home too. But Kairos' purse masters are no longer paying them to fight, and if a mercenary is killing for free, something's suspect. In the end, I suppose it doesn't matter. Pokemon will never let go. He feels he owns this town, and he aims to have it be his. Alright, I'm gonna ask something else. I'm gonna ask about directions, and I'll be on my way. And that character will never be around again. Oh, goodness. Wasted like 10 minutes doing a freaking old man prospector voice. Good lord. Whew. I don't know how I'm going to do the rest of this episode. Definitely going with just regular voice for the rest of this episode, because I don't know if my voice can handle it. I said voice, but my freaking throat, it was already doing bad beforehand. Allergy meds haven't kicked in, and just rough. That's right, we only have 4. Keep forgetting. Keep forgetting we can only have 4 in a party. Alright, Siren. Siren stands here, surrounded by a group of villagers. She speaks to them in soft, dulcet tones, holding them hypnotized with their hand motions. Her headdress flashes as she speaks, and you are unable to tell if it's a trick of the light or the gem in it that is actually glowing. She is swept up in her oration and seems completely unaware you've arrived. There is a lull in her conversation as she opens her eyes.
Well, look who's here. And what brings you to Zethios Crossing? Can't imagine it's the scenery or the quaint locals. Have you come to spoil my fun?
She frowns a little, momentarily lost in thought.
Tunon probably insisted you find me, didn't he? Because we can't let Siren have any fun, can we? Let's control her. Let's tell her what she can and can't do. Let's use her to destroy nations.
As she speaks, the crowd around her appears agitated, and the air in the room grows heavy and warm. Suddenly she smiles. So yeah, she definitely has the, purple man power
But
from
enough of that talk.
Jessica Jones.
What do you think of my followers?
She makes a motion over the group gathered at her feet. As she speaks, you feel a peaceful serenity washing over you. The crowd calms and breathing becomes easier. So we can say that she shouldn't be doing this or manipulating them. I think she knows that. I'm gonna say very nice as long as you don't let it get out of hand.
Oh, stop that, Fate Binder. It's not like I'm hurting anyone. Well, at least not yet.
Yeah, definitely purple man. Alright, she laughs, and the feeling in the room buoys. You smile without even realizing you wanted to. Alright, so we can tell her to stop the emotional manipulation and say that she's coming with us so we can keep an eye on her. Or enough of this, I want you to join me. So yeah, definitely useful companion. So yeah.
Why on earth would you want that? I can't imagine you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart. Oh, Tunon must have had a hand in this. Or Narat. Maybe I'd rather stay here where people won't insist on ordering me around all the time. Although, you did activate one of the spires, so your power is something I could learn from, and you are right. It's certainly not going to make any significant advances staying here with a bunch of nobodies worshipping me. Watching you in action could give me the edge I need to unlock a spire of my own. Fine. I will allow you the glorious gift of my presence in your party.
Let's say it like that. Come with me, Siren. Alright, so yeah, we're adding Siren to the party.
Let's go. If you're gonna teach me the wonders of the world, it's not gonna happen here.
Alright, so who do we want to take out? Pitcher's level 6. Is Ebb really only level 4? Ebb's only level 4.
I'll tack homeward. See you there.
He'll definitely tack. Alright, Siren, we gotta look at you. In terms of your stats and your abilities, there's no weird casting couch situation going on here. Ugh. Ugh. Alright. So we got 5 points to spend. And we'll look at, so she gets discordant melody. Songbird. She's got that helmet that she definitely wants us to get rid of. She's a two-handed. Only Siren can equip this entertainer spell. I wanted to look at like her lore. I think definitely she's probably got spells and accuracy have things to do with it. Let's get this up to 15. This up to 15, and then we'll go accuracy at the final 2 points. And then she's got songs. Blood Brings the Dawn. It's a war song. Rapid tempo. It looks like these songs are what we have. And we don't get new songs until, well, we get one on the very next level. Okay, so we can fracture armor. So under armor sundering. Damage prevention field. Stop this field from regenerating. Increasing the speed of her songs. Alright, so it's a speed up button on YouTube. Is what that is. I like the idea of a resonance field. We got a lot of points, so we can do rapid tempo. Siren automatically gains breath at the start of combat. That sounds like something we would want. Getting accuracy bonus to our offensive songs. Take arcane damage and are interrupted. Go there and there. So we got level 2 Resonant Field. We got an Aria of Pain. We got gets breath at the start of combat, and her tempo is faster. We got Aria Force that gives crush damage. That pushes people away from her. That's good. Alright, cool. I don't think there's anything in our party stash that is of use to her. We get more subterfuge. Big on subterfuge. We might tell him like to not get subterfuge or lore. Parry's fine. Non-combat we don't need. Duel we don't need. Bows we don't need. Magic staff we don't need. Alright. As for you, lore, parry, athletics, subterfuge. Yes, that's fine. As far as she goes, I can't think of like anything. Like I know we're not going into these. I know we're going into these, so do we keep those there? Alright, Landry still has got high enough lore to do what it needs to do. And that didn't take as much time as I thought it did. Okay. Whew. I sincerely thought that we would not be getting inside the old walls by the end of this episode. But we might actually be able to get something done. Oh boy. Well, let's speed that up, shall we? I'm pretty sure we've been everywhere else, yeah? We've been to the forge. Let's look at our stuff. Area 4, Shattered Stone. Very interesting. That should be really cool. Okay. We have like a...
No one will know I was there.
Then we do have fast mode. Alright, there's an eerie glow of unknown origins coming from the depths of the pit. Hello. Like a teleporter?
Interesting.
Hello. Let's touch it. What we got? Potions. Out the wazoo. This may be a place where we can't even be right now. Alright. So that's the Runic Hall. Topaz and War Mace. And then just Jasper. Alright, let's explore the rest of this area before we pick a path. Sounds very machine-like. There's definitely like gears and amping up. Alright, we're gonna need to read this. The door creates a near-perfect seal with the surrounding walls. Along its surface, you see several chips and swallow gouges from failed attempts to force it open. There is nothing to interact with on its panels, and you surmise that it was never meant to be opened from this side. Interesting. Oops. Alright, and some more place to look at. The floor stones have been broken recently. Bits of metal nearby would suggest that it's the result of careless soldiers. Alright, let's grab some more of that. More water. We have lots of water. Unlock, and we got light leather boots. Have a look at this. Alright, interesting rune. This sunken relief, though heavily damaged, is clearly meant to depict a runic symbol similar to the one you saw at Ascension Hall. The relief is incomplete, and thus the final form of the rune is unknown. So you can take a charcoal rubbing of a relief shape to help discern the rune's design. Sure. Pressing charcoal to parchment, you capture a blurry but proportionate image of the ancient relief. With enough collected imprints, it may be possible to reconstruct the original shape of the rune. As you work, Lantry hovers near. See how that pattern looks broken along two edges? I think there may be more to the engraving than what's here. Then we'll look for more. Andrew nods. Agreed. If we collect enough sketches and imprints, we could no doubt reconstruct the original image in its entirety. Okay. So, there's only one way to go. Sorry, there's the camping supplies. We have 8 camping supplies. Here we go. This is the...
Can you feel it? There's power here. We should explore.
Yep.
I will stay out of sight.
The Runic Hall. That's where this place is. Look at this music. So I love the atmospheric music as well. This chamber immediately reminds you of Ascension Hall. An intricate rune running along the floor can only mean one thing. You stand at the feet of a great spire. Each step you take echoes across a great distance. As you gaze upward, the sage-colored walls quickly give way to unending blackness. The rune in the center of the floor is inactive, and the silence of the hall offers no clues as to its use or function. You feel a slight tug in your chest, a faint echo of the energy that envelops you at Vendrian's well. Hold a moment. Lantry bellows the comment louder than needed, smiling as if he hears his voice echo through the massive chamber. If my sense of direction is at all reasonable, we are standing below the spire in this region. Alright, what do you recommend? Lantry points at the pattern on the floor. I'd start with the grooves and stones on the floor over there. If it's like the spire at Vendrian's well, whomever built this created a mystical conduit to the top. And I'd think it very, very unlikely that the pattern is purely decorative. What do you know of the spires, Lantry? Lantry raised an eyebrow. About as much as you, I'm afraid. Until our time at Vendrian's well, I didn't realize there were ways to access the upper reaches. Speaking of which, I'm certain there's a way to access the top of the spire as well. Let's keep our eyes out for sigils or glyphs nearby. Let's press on.
Stepping lightly.
Alright. Keep our stealth on. Not trusting things. Alright, there's another etching that we have to do, I'm assuming. Yes, so... is to depict a rune symbol. Incomplete, yeah. The same as last time. Pressing charcoal to parchment, you capture a blurry but proportionate image of the ancient relief. Though the drawn rune remains incomplete, it seems likely that the completed design is symmetrical in nature. Should the need arise, you could reasonably guess its original shape. It has something to do with the symbol on the floor of the spire. The grooves in the floor are inlaid with a dim, incandescent material that glimmers upon closer inspection. They appear to intersect at various angles, forming a myriad of potential shapes similar to the rubbing you found. Okay. We probably need to take a look at that. Like, where is that? Incomplete. Cannot be removed from stash. Okay. So examine the rubbing and you determine the significance of the rubbing. So it's an up arrow and a down arrow crossed together. There's kind of a faint outline of a circle that crosses these 2 points. Alright. So, let's see how this works.
Watch where you step. This has trap written all over it.
Alright. Okay, so I think I know. Alright, so let's do up arrow first. Oh, okay.
Affirmative.
Yeah, we just use one person. Go ahead and turn that off. Okay. Circle, circle. Huh. Huh.
Yes.
Oh, hello. Okay, we can do connects like that. That's how we do it. This, that, this, that. Alright, I think that's it. No, wait. One more. There it is. You didn't have to hit that button in the middle. I guess that button in the middle may reset. But, let's go. Let's get to the top. I love the Spire music. The arcane light courses skyward, trailing off toward the horizon in the direction of Vindrian's Well. You feel the ground ripped out from beneath you yet again as you drift back into the warmth of the energy surrounding you. Your awareness stretches beyond the limits of this spire, pulling in many directions at once. The light you saw arcing through the sky reminds you of the tether you feel to the top of Vindrian's Well. This too is a point of connection, and you are an inextricable part of it, bound as surely as the spires are to each other. The Sunset Spire in Lathan's Crossing feels burdened by its age, as if a central linchpin somewhere in its core has weathered the centuries of oppressive weight and longs to topple. The surge of energy that courses through you, forming a link with Vindrian's Well, strengthens the very stones beneath your feet. The structural weakness you detected vanishes, replaced by confidence that could keep this tower standing for millennia. And tell me where you're writing from, Lantry speaks aloud as he pens a missive, and how to reach you, and I will send you an iron ring for your troubles. He signs his name with a flourish, and then tosses the parchment into the wind. In the blink of an eye, the heavy currents carry the slip of parchment eastward. I had this idea of a message in a bottle without the bottle. Maybe it'll work. From here, even the old walls seem paltry. This sovereign view was not intended for the likes of us. He shakes his head slowly. Who knew that all this was up here? Who knew that all this was up here while I sat below, wasting my time trying to gather a group of followers from the refugees in Lathan's Crossing? An untapped power in this spire is astounding. I must find out how to get some. Alright, I was wondering if those whispers were ever going to go away. The spire feels like a relay between you and Vindrian's Well, bridging some transference of energy on an enormous scale. You are the first link of a chain that stretches the length of the realm. As you struggle to understand this sensation, you grow aware of whispers all around you. Repress it or listen closer? Let's listen closer. The whispers themselves seem to travel down the tether between you and your spires, conducting heat that feels at times unbearable. They speak of your actions, your choices, everything that led you to this place. Your name is known, your banner recognized, your deeds reported across the tiers and the Northern Empire alike. For an instant, you can see the accumulated hope and fear these whispers represent. It appears like dewdrops settling on a leaf, then trickling into a shared basin. This image is fed to you through your connection, a base metaphor that only hits at the true scope. There is power in these spires, though its source is unfamiliar. Were you to harness it, you suspect that nothing would stand beyond your reach. I'm going to say, I don't know what this is, but I like it, or I feel strange. What does Zethios, what does he think? And you get a instant grasp, or recap grasp, on what baseline character is. Basically, kind of, if we had to put like a nature to him, it'd probably be, I want to say, like chaotic good, to where he has his own sense of morality, that he follows his own code, and doesn't really care about the laws of society. He just cares about what he believes in his heart. So, power, I don't know how interested he is in power. He likes being the ruler over his land. He likes being, I don't know his feelings of being a fate minder. He likes the problem solving of being a fate binder and trying to find a compromise, and gets really frustrated when he's dealing with two sides who are not willing to do so. Like the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus were hell-bent on fighting each other, and that frustrated the heck out of Zethios. And then there's been points where we've been asked to judge things on here, and he had people who weren't, forthright in what the job entailed and things that they did. And so he, like the person who gave the job, needed to compensate the people properly for not giving them the full information about what the job required. So we're just going to go with I feel strange. I don't know what you've done, but standing near you warms my rusted plates, makes me feel lighter somehow. Curious. I'm noting something I also observed at the Spire in Ventrian's Well. There's a mystic hum, and it has little beats when you walk, tiny fluctuations when you talk. Unless my senses are deceiving me, you and the spires are mystically attuned to each other. Most fascinating indeed. A quill pen appears in his hand, and the old sage begins furiously jotting notes on his arm. I feel it too. The air is thick up here, isn't it? Exactly the opposite of what you'd expect. The magic up here is almost a physical presence. Oh, so we get another spire. Okay. And we get upgrades that we can buy. So this already has like a thing on it. This one, we would get an upgrade. So I'm gonna take a look at this between episodes and kind of give like a brief overview of what all this stuff is and what our ultimate decision for what our upgrade is going to be for this place next time. So, till next time, this has been Zethios signing out for now. Bye, folks.